Et bonsoir à toutes et à tous, ravi de vous retrouver en direct. Et oui, nous sommes sur Twitch, retour des lives en mode canapé en 2026. À mes côtés, bien sûr, il est là pour à la fois, bien sûr, poser quelques questions. Il nous a préparé notamment, effectivement, sa petite battle de fin d'émission pour savoir un petit peu ce qu'aiment nos invités en dehors du sport pratiqué. Et puis, il gère aussi tout l'aspect technique, bien sûr. C'est Basile. Bonsoir, mon cher Basile.
Bonsoir Julien, comment ça va?
Ah, écoute, plutôt pas mal, plutôt en forme, bien remis d'un week-end qui fait assez chargé, avec une bonne petite soirée samedi notamment. Et puis, à mes côtés et à nos côtés surtout, il nous fait un immense plaisir d'être là. Il a eu son maillot retiré le week-end dernier. Troy Passingham. Troy, welcome to the haters and thank you to accept here the
Yeah,
invitation.
thanks for having me. I mean, it took you 5 seasons to finally get me here, but I've arrived, and yeah, it's cool to be here to finally be doing this with you guys, and hopefully some people understand the English. And sorry for the lack of French, but yeah, let's do this thing.
He knows few little words,
Je parle un peu le français, ouais.
but of course, we'll talk in English for this interview. Donc, on va essayer quand même, au fur et à mesure, de traduire quand même de temps en temps. On va pas non plus faire de la traduction mot à mot tout au long, parce que sinon, on en aurait pour 5 heures, je pense, d'émission. Donc voilà. Après, je pense qu'il est possible quand même de peut-être mettre des sous-titres en live sur Twitch. N'hésitez pas si c'est le cas. Vous avez peut-être aussi l'intelligence artificielle qui peut vous aider. Et puis, si jamais vous n'êtes pas présent avec nous en direct, je rappelle que l'émission elle sera aussi retransmise sur YouTube. Là, pareil, il est possible, je pense, d'activer les sous-titres pour votre meilleure compréhension. On compte sur vous, bien sûr, si ce n'est déjà fait, pour venir vous abonner à la chaîne Twitch, let's subscribe, of course, to Twitch. That will be great. I know that we will maybe have some Canadian or American or fan of choice, so let's subscribe. It's not the case. Et puis, bien sûr, n'oubliez pas à venir réagir avec nous en direct. Let's comment on the live. Et on se fera un plaisir, bien sûr, de relayer vos questions ou vos commentaires pour Troy. Ça, je pense, lui fera un immense plaisir. On peut déjà saluer Ranger Red. I think it's one of your best friends. He's very on the live. Et nous avons aussi MDNT Ice, dernière fois où on voit Troy, the last time when we can see Troy, of course. Et puis RVDS 29, lui aussi, un habitué du live. Bonsoir à vous trois. Donc on compte sur vous, bien sûr, pour interagir avec nous sur Twitch. Et puis je disais, il y a YouTube, bien sûr, mais n'oubliez pas Facebook et Instagram. Je sais que notamment dans 2 semaines, on sera présent du côté de Liège pour aller voir un match. On essaiera bien sûr de faire du contenu photo, contenu vidéo. On salue Sifli aussi, c'est Laurine, la community manager of the Bulldogs team. Elle est là, donc on la salue là aussi. Elle sera avec nous d'ailleurs dans 2 semaines pour aller faire du contenu avec Liège. Donc voilà, il y aura encore pas mal de choses. On aura certainement aussi bientôt Brian Colo dans l'émission. Peut-être aussi d'autres joueurs, notamment basketteurs, qui devraient venir. Donc ça risque d'être là aussi un programme assez chargé sur nos antennes. Allez, on est parti. On va rentrer dans cette interview. And the first question, Troy, just yes, your feeling after this elimination from the playoffs. It was now 2 weeks ago in game three versus Erenveen.
Mm.
Yes, what's your feeling? It was tough.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have as good as a team that we had, as good as a season as we had, it's tough to go out like this. But I think in this league, I think as you guys know, any year when we won the league, we probably could have lost. We won in a shootout against Dietz, and we barely beat a couple teams. We almost lost to Zudermere my first year. We won the title. So in the playoffs, anything can happen, especially in a best 2 of 3 series. It's crazy. We lose 2-1 at home in a very, very close game where we had more shots, more chances, and maybe deserved to win. And then you see in the first game of that series, we have many shots and chances against, and we win the game. So it's sports. Unfortunately, it's obviously not what you want, but I think the whole team and myself look back on the year of it's a great season, 3 cups, 3 really good results there, and 2 really big final wins. And I think there's nothing but to say we were proud of what we did. And yeah, it's the fourth one would have been nice, obviously, but that's sport and that's the way it is. And yeah, it sucks. But now after a couple weeks, we can say we're proud of what we have done.
And we will talk about, of course, all of your achievements with the Bulldogs, also the CHL Cup run in January. It will be from the next weekend, the final, of course, of the championship between the NAG and Neuwied. Neuwied won such easily versus Erenveen, 3-1. But for the NAG, they won yesterday the game 5, with also a shout out for Kulina, the goalie of the NAG. Uh, is it such a normal final for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Wait.
I would say Neuwied. I think is one of the strongest teams. I think in the CHL Cup final, we got a little lucky, but it was a really good battle to beat them in the semifinal of that series. They're the toughest team. Every time we play them, it's a battle, and their home ice is an advantage that's really crazy. And they're a strong team, and I think they deserve to be there. They were champions from last year. For me, the other series is maybe a bit more of a surprise. I thought playing the season, Galeen, in my opinion, was the stronger team. But yeah, you have a good goalie like Kalina and Den Haag, and the imports really stepped up in the series like this. And then again, this is the sports. They were good all year too, also. But in my opinion, I thought Galeen was stronger. Yes, but that's the sport. It was a great series. Obviously, I think it's still going to be a really good final, and I don't care who wins because I don't. It's not us. I will say that, but yeah, good luck to both teams, and I think it'll be a really good final and a representation of how good this league has become. Every year is competitive. We've gone from 2 imports to 4, and every year the locals have gotten better. We added German teams, and yeah, I think the league can be really proud of what it's created, and hopefully will continue as we will hopefully see in the next few months here. But yeah, it's going to be a great final and a representation of a great league.
Of course. And who's gonna win?
Ah,
The bet.
if I had to pick, I would pick Neuwied. I think again they have the home ice advantage in the final round again, and they were the strongest team in the second half and the first half. Finished first in both, and like I said, we got lucky to beat them in the CHL Cup in the first half. But they, from my side, are the strongest team in the competition. Very tough to beat, and like it will be a good series. But I think they take it.
Et alors, on a Wapelsan qui nous dit notamment: «Basile, montre-lui notre tasse». Je sais pas ce qu'est cette tasse. I don't know,
Yeah,
this cup, but
that's a best friend of mine, and last year they got engaged with his wife, and I was
Best man,
yeah,
best man.
and he proposed me with a cup
Okay.
with a picture of you, five and me
Oh yeah.
on the cup. It said that
Well, we all have cups now.
so
Oh, that's cool.
donc
yes, je pourrais
ouais,
de plus tard.
juste pour rebondir vite fait, sur ce que Troy disait, bah, c'est que notamment le niveau de la CEHL n'a cessé d'augmenter ces dernières saisons. C'est vrai qu'on en parle souvent beaucoup aussi, bien sûr, entre nous. C'est vrai que Neuwied est quand même souvent une équipe assez difficile à manœuvrer. It's such a tough team. It's also hard to play there. It's such a special arena. Mais c'est vrai que oui, Neuwied part peut-être avec la faveur des pronostics. They also have the home ice advantage. Mais Donac, attention, Donac, c'est une équipe, quand on a joué contre eux à chaque fois, je les ai toujours trouvés bien organisés. They play such a good game with 3 tough lines also. And they also have a good goalie who is, I guess, on fire with one shutout. Also, one game that the Nag won, it was 3 or 4 nil until still 5 seconds remaining, and Galen just scored at 5 seconds. So it was such a disappointment for Kulina to just doesn't keep the shutout until the end. But so yes, it will be such a tough final. Et toi, Basile, juste ton prono, who's gonna win this final?
Bah, je vais peut-être le dire en français pour les pour les viewers, mais ouais, je pense qu'on évite par favori, dans la finale, puisque certes, Gueulen, Denax, c'est des équipes qui se connaissent, qui jouent, bah, forcément les coupes hollandaises, mais assez surpris effectivement de voir, Den passer. Je vais pas dire agréablement surpris, mais c'est vrai que ça change un peu. C'est un peu un outsider et on aime bien les histoires avec des outsiders et pourquoi pas voir Den Haag jouer un peu les troubles faits du côté de Neuwied. On a vu que, bah, Neuwied n'a pas eu si facile que ça face à Heerenveen. Donc pourquoi pas effectivement voir, une finale plus serrée que ce qu'on aurait pensé maintenant ça a un avantage à Neuwied.
Ouais. On salue aussi Corvus Rosen, bonsoir à vous 3 et Troy Best Goalie. Les mots sont là. Moi je vais aller, dans le sens de Den Haag. Je les sens bien faire l'upset. Heu, donc voilà, je tente le pari. À noter d'ailleurs qu'à l'issue de la finale, on aura une deuxième équipe avec 2 CEHL/Benny League, trophies. Puisque les Bulldogs en ont 2, Heerenveen en a 2, Neuwied et Den Haag en ont toutes chacun gagné une jusqu'à présent. Donc on aura, une troisième équipe avec 2 trophées. Donc la saison prochaine, ce sera peut-être l'année de l'équipe qui gagnera, 3 coupes, à son palmarès. Maintenant, bah, on va quand même parler bien sûr, de toi, Troy. We will talk about you. And first, the first question is, about, yes, the beginning of your hockey career and also maybe how you discovered hockey. We know that in Canada it's the most famous sport. You are from the biggest area of the country, or the area of Ontario, also close to the biggest city of the country. So it was such like normal to start skating and playing hockey to your young age, or it was maybe another way to discover the sport.
No, I mean, you said it best there. In Canada, it's a way of life. If you're a Canadian and you haven't tried to skate or something, then maybe you're not a true Canadian, that we would say. But yeah, I mean, where I grew up was I started in a small town actually, and we had backyard rinks. We went and skated with the neighbors, and uh, everybody would be out there, every kid, even the adults skating around. It's just becomes a part of the way of the life when you have such cold winters. There's always ice, always a place to skate. And then, yeah, you start skating at such a young age. We watched CBC Hockey Night in Canada with the Leafs. And yeah, you fall in love with the sport. And then at 5 years old, and 6 years old, I went and tried for the first time to play organized hockey. House league, just the basic first level was in Canada. And I was not a very good hockey player. Everybody, you just kind of skate around and play at that age and level. But at that age and level, they give everybody a chance to be goalie. So everybody gets like a turn, all 20 players, everybody takes a turn being a goalie. I played my game. I played really well from what I was told, barely remember it. But I remember enjoying it a lot and thinking, okay, I suck at player. I cannot be an attacker or a defender. So
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, I think this is more for me. And I mean, it sucked for my parents because goalie equipment and stuff is much more expensive. But yeah, the next year I started playing single A hockey as a goalie. And since I was 7 years old, I've been a goalie. So almost 20 years of my life. And yeah, no regrets on making that move. It's worked out pretty well. And yeah, it was just started young and everybody in Canada kind of does it. And my first game in goalie, I was hooked ever since. So.
Okay, and can you also describe, um, yes, the hockey in this part of the country? So you are from Mississauga. It's really close to Toronto. As I said, it's yes the biggest city in the country. It's around 5 or 8 million people. And you talk also about the Maple Leafs. I went to Toronto almost 10 years ago now, and I became a fan of the Maple Leafs because yes, it was such a religion. Uh, is it something true? Is it everyone in this area watch hockey and also watch the Maple Leafs, or
Yeah, I would say a lot of people watch the hockey. I mean, as you saw, my friend there, Chris, is on there, and he's actually the one of the biggest Montreal fans. And
oh,
so we always have a good time. And I mean, Montreal's doing so well this year, so we joke around and with that rivalry and stuff. But I mean, all parts of Ontario, people are fans of different teams. Obviously, in Ontario, the big team is the Leafs, and it's like you said, it's crazy passion, religion, and stuff like that. And for us, it was just because they're on TV and it's part of your life that you see every Saturday or even during the week. And for me, it was just right away the attraction of just watching them and learning to love them. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like my best friend learned to love the Canadians, so I mean, it's possible to find other ways to see other teams and stuff like that. But hockey is everywhere, and I think the Leafs are a big part of that. And obviously, we want them to do better than this year. But yeah, I mean, I grew up in Mississauga, like you said, and a couple other areas. We moved around a lot actually for hockey, so I lived in other cities too to play. Ended up being in Mississauga, which is right next to Toronto. It's 20 kilometers, but it takes you 2 hours to get there with all the traffic. But yeah, I played in some of the best leagues in the Ontario area, and there's so many players and so many good hockey players, and obviously a very competitive space, and that's why you see so many good Canadians come over here in Europe and have success, and North America as well. And obviously, U.S. is now, as you see with the Olympics and stuff, is starting to create something pretty special down there too. And I think the sport's just growing and growing, and I think Toronto's been a big part of that. And I think anybody who's played there and will tell you that how much they love the game. And yeah, I think there's nothing but good things to say about the relationship between hockey and Canada.
And I guess that you, yes, hope that the Leafs will maybe one time again win a Stanley Cup
Yeah,
this year.
we keep hoping, we keep hoping. Every year they let us down, but if the one year they finally do it, it'll be the best year of our lives. So we're gonna keep hoping.
It's fun also because, yes, it's just the for the part of the Leaf, but that's the second most winning team in NHL in history with 13 trophies. But the last one was in 1967. Now, or minus, it's also has a loser team. Do you think Leafs are yes became a loser or not? It's still a
I mean, you look at when they won those trophies, the league was 6 teams, a lot of them for a lot of the trophies. So a little bit easier to win the cup. Kind of like honestly the Belgian cups and stuff here. It's a little easier to win some of those cups when there's only 4 teams. Obviously, it's never easy, but easier. Um, but yeah, I think now you have what is it, 32 teams? Is there 32 teams in the NHL or something like that?
32 years.
So that makes it a lot more difficult. Then you add salary cap and all the crazy things. The teams change so much every year now, and it is so hard to win back to back. And I think that's what's made Tampa and Florida's run the last couple of years so impressive. And you could argue about the tax breaks and all that stuff in the NHL making it, but that's something that's become so amazing. It's you have so many teams, so competitive. Anybody can come out into the playoffs and win. And I think that's what you want. So for the side of the Leafs, I think that's something that's just sort of been a product of the environment of it's become a space that's very hard to win the Stanley Cup. It's very hard to win, and I think the pressure in Toronto is magnified much more, which makes it even harder. Anytime you have a bad game in the playoffs, the pressure starts to sink in more. The media is telling you, are you going to choke again? Are you going to lose again? And that really is, you think you could just set it aside, don't go on social media or something like that. But you really have to be in that moment to see how much it affects you because, I mean, it's not the same, but we have pressure here in Liège and junior hockey where I played. You have the pressure and you do feel it. So I can only imagine what goes through some players' minds on those teams. And I think that's another reason that has made it more difficult. Maybe we're also cursed. I think we've had some really good teams that just haven't figured it out. And I think that game 7 against Boston when they had the 4-1 lead many years ago will stick in the minds. But I mean, it's also, we did the same thing as Neuwied in our final a couple years ago, down 4-1 and came back. So
Yes.
it's the sport. And I think hopefully one year in the future, we're going to have a run where we get lucky and we kind of break that curse. And hopefully it's in my lifetime. I hope, but yeah, it's just it's a crazy thing that's happened to them, and yeah, maybe they are considered losers, and I think that's maybe something that needs to change in the culture of the team and the media and stuff that'll help that. But yeah, as of right now, it's a difficult place to play and not having a good year. But yeah, that's the sport.
That's sport, as you say. Je vois que on n'a pas trop de réactions au niveau de demande de traduction. On va peut-être juste quand même revenir sur les peut-être deux trois mots là ici pour que tout le monde puisse peut-être comprendre correctement, même si voilà, on n'a pas tant de réactions de ça, donc je présume que tout le monde comprend.
Ben oui, au final, notre nous a un petit peu expliqué ce qui se passait, et la culture, du hockey au Canada. Donc pour vraiment résumer, donc bah, il nous a dit qu'il n'était pas du tout fait au début de sa carrière pour être attaquant ou défenseur et que, ben, quand il allait try out pour, rentrer dans une équipe de hockey, on fait passer tout le monde au poste de goalie pour voir qui sera le goalie et Troy s'est avéré être très fort, à ce poste et depuis n'a jamais quitté le poste. Au niveau de la religion aussi du côté de Toronto, forcément, on c'est les fans des Maple Leafs sont, très, on va dire enthousiastes et très, les personnes de Toronto sont très, fans et c'est limite une religion pour eux, cette équipe des Maple Leafs et pour terminer, on disait qu'effectivement, Toronto était quand même un gros vivier, avec toutes les villes avoisinantes aux alentours de cette grande ville était quand même, une région qui fournissait énormément de joueurs, canadiens qui vont d'ailleurs partout dans le monde, que ce soit, en NHL, mais aussi en Europe et on a terminé ici avec donc du coup les Maple Leafs avec leur, malheureux, dé enfin on va dire, malchance sur les dernières saisons, sur le fait que, il y a quand même une bonne équipe qui était, construite et qui malheureusement n'arrive jamais à aller consacrer ses chances pour aller gagner une Stanley Cup puisque ça remonte quand même à pas mal de temps et donc on espère en tout cas, du moins, voir que cette équipe des Maple Leafs pourra gagner de notre vivant, donc voilà un petit peu ce qui s'est dit jusqu'à présent.
When we check your elite prospect profile, before the OHL, you played 2 years, I see, in U15 and U16 with Mississauga Senators. It was so your first team and the team when you grew up? Or?
No, no. So I was saying, we lived in a couple different cities for hockey. We lived in Guelph and played in a little town called Erin. We kind of moved spots for hockey because we wanted to find the best opportunity for me and my brother to succeed in sports. So we moved to Guelph, and then eventually we moved to Mississauga, where we lived most of my life, and that's why I call it my hometown. It's where I feel like we've lived the longest and where I really found a home growing up. And yeah, so my last, I believe it was 3 years of minor hockey, youth hockey. I ended up playing in the Greater Toronto Hockey League, which is considered maybe the best minor hockey in Ontario for sure, maybe Canada. AAA, the highest level of youth hockey. We were a okay team. We weren't the best in our league, but we had a few guys go to OHL, like myself and stuff like that. But yeah, it was crazy lucky. I got into the best league in Ontario and in my youth and played a few really good years there. And I had a really good coach named Max Sigert. And yeah, he was an OHL scout, but then became our also our coach in the youth hockey and really helped me develop and show me how it all works and did a really good job with what we had in our organization. Obviously, we played in a pretty tough year in the 90s. Actually, we had some really good players. I think Steven Stamkos and guys like that were our age group. Funny enough, we had John Tavares also, but he actually played a year older with 89 with Sam Gagne on the Toronto Marlies and stuff like that. But yeah, there was Cody Hodgson and stuff like that, guys who played in the NHL but didn't make a big career because of injuries and stuff like that. But we had some really good players and really tough players that we played against. Alex Petrangelo was on the Toronto Junior Canadians, and I can remember him. He scored a hat trick from defense on me, and obviously there's some more great players that were in our league too. And it was just you see guys like that, and you grow up playing against them, and then just watch them grow up to be NHLers and how close some of our guys were and stuff like that. It was a really good league to grow up in.
So we can know that yes, it's at this age, it's already such a competitive junior level. Pour ceux qui le découvriraient peut-être maintenant, Steven Stamkos, on est sur un multiple Stanley Cup winner, back-to-back, with yes, back-to-back title with the Lightning. Now il joue pour les Predators de Nashville. Sacré buteur. John Tavares, former, ancien capitaine des Highlanders, ancien capitaine des Leafs, et maintenant assistant capitaine, et toujours quand même très performant, hein, still able to bring some goals and some assists to the Leafs, and still a leader. It just maybe yes, it's not maybe too much for him to be the captain of the Leafs.
I think it was more of making way for Matthews to be the future guy and giving it to him and trying to keep him there as long as possible. I think it's a pretty weird decision to take a captain off a guy who's still on your team. I think Tavares has always led by example. I've played the hockey in development areas and at his gym and stuff with Tavares. He's more of a quiet guy. He was actually really good friends with Subban, PK Subban, who was obviously a bit more of a louder guy, and they would always hang out together. And they were really good guys, and you could just see how much hard work they put in the off season. So yeah, I think John, again with the pressure in Toronto, has done a really good job. But yeah, for me, it was an interesting decision to take the captaincy off for a guy like that. I think Matthew's a great player and deserves the captain too. But yeah, hopefully, it didn't create too much problems in the room. But I mean, I can see some guys being upset about stuff like this. So yeah, for me, it was a weird decision.
Before the OHL, we know that it's such the highest junior level in Canada. We can see that you played in Vaughan with the Kings. You also played a few games with St. John Sea Dogs in QMJHL. And then you also spent almost an entire season with the Vipers of Vaughan. Can you describe these 2 or 3 seasons before the OHL? You maybe felt that you was already ready to make the next step, or you were still in improvement?
Yeah, so obviously with youth hockey, it's basically up till U16, and then from 16 years old to 20 years old, you have junior hockey. And at the time in Canada, a lot of things changed, and they created a rule in most junior leagues that you can only have 2 16-year-old players on every team. So it became very tough, especially for a goaltender, to make the big junior teams. So I ended up playing a U18 year with the Vaughan Kings there for 1 year. After going back to play basically AAA youth hockey again, I became all-star for that year and had a really good season. And then I went to OHL camps and tried to make OHL teams when I was 16 and 17, and it just didn't work out. I went to a couple games where there were just really good goalies already. And then somehow I played a summer hockey tournament in Toronto. Had a really good tournament. We went to the finals, and a scout from the team in Quebec, where Anthony Gagnon played also in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, saw me and invited me out to the camp for St. John. And they brought me out, told me I would make the team. And then it was a year of craziness where I was basically the third goalie while we waited to trade our best goalie. But we were in first place, so they never traded him, kept me on the team, so I didn't play much, kind of screwed me over in development and stuff, but I was just happy to be on the highest level. I thought if I stayed, it would be good for me. Unfortunately, that was not true because the next year they decided to go with another goalie different than me. So I ended up going back and playing Junior A in Ontario, which is just the level below the OHL. Played for the Vaughan Vipers there for a year. Again, had a really good season. Was top 5 goalies in the league, I think, in save percentage, and had 18 wins or something like this, and had a really good season. I got lucky enough that a friend of a guy I played with minor hockey, his dad was a scout for the Windsor Spitfires. And they saw me play OHL for Vaughan, and they had just won the Memorial Cup actually the year, and I played in Vaughan, and then they saw me and signed me for that year, and I played a year and a half there. And yeah, we had a crazy good team, crazy good players I played with. Ended up being lucky enough to win a Memorial Cup, and yeah, for a couple years in the OHL, I got traded to Sarnia my last year and played my overage 20-year-old year there. And yeah, that was my ages from 16 to 20. It was a crazy time in my life. I lived on 2 different places in the country and went to a bunch of different teams because as a goalie, it's tough to kind of find your spots and find the right place. There's a lot of good goalies out there and a lot of spots that are competitive for, and I got lucky enough to be on some very good teams and play on the best level. So yeah, it was a roller coaster all over the place, but it was the years I'll never forget, and we won some big trophies, and yeah, it was a lot of fun and a lot of craziness. I'll say that about 16 to 20 years old.
On a une question de Courvzorozen qu'on va garder pour un peu plus tard. Elle nous demande notamment le top 3 NHL player and goalie of all time, mais on va la garder pour un petit peu plus tard. OK, press. On mais en tout cas, just before talking about the players where with you played them in in this amazing team of Spitfires. Um, what's the most important for a young goalie between, yes, 14, 16, 18 years old, or we are, yes, we are still a young guy, but we are close to the, yes, to the professional level sometimes, at between 18 to 20. For you, what's the most important thing that you had to improve and work on it
Yeah.
at this young
I
age?
mean, something I'll say that I should have done more was you need to strength train. You need to really build your body to be stronger. I was a good goalie, but if I did that more, maybe I was even a better goalie. But the number one thing for me is you just have to play. You need to play games. You need to play a lot. If you don't play games, you'll never learn the pressure of the game situations. So for me, for example, that year I played 2 games, I think that was a year wasted of development because I didn't play games. So I went back to a league lower to play more games. And that year I really became the good goalie or even better goalie and played a lot and had more confidence in myself and grew that. So even if you have to take a step lower or a league lower to play more, it'll make you better the next year to possibly play better in that level you want to be at. So for me, it's just find a place where you can play a lot of games. At that age, you're so many things are developing with your skills and your body and stuff like that. So you need to play. You need to find the confidence and playing the actual matches, the games is most important because that's what teams want to see. You can practice, you can train as much as you want, but you need to be in the matches to really know and become as possibly good as you can be.
Ouais, donc effectivement, jouer le maximum pour. Il y a que le, finalement, que la réalité de la glace qui permet d'évoluer. On salue Anne-Mélissa, notre petit Roy, il va nous manquer. Alors, petit, hein, that's, si on se met debout, effectivement, il nous prend tous une tête de plus. 2019-2010 season with the Spitfires. When we check the roster, for us in Europe, it's also something amazing. You played with him as a goalie, so you had Philippe Grobauer. Philippe Grobauer was later the goalie of the Avalanche of Colorado. Now he's, yes, he plays with the Kraken of Seattle, and he also played a few weeks ago the Olympics with the German national team. So not so bad, we can say like that. And when we see between the defenders or of course the strikers, we have Adam Henrik, who is currently playing with McDavid in the Oilers. We have Ryan Ellis, who plays also in one of the most famous franchise in this sport, the Blackhawks. Cam Fowler, defenders for the Blues of St. Louis. And we have Austin Watson, who is playing with the Red Wings. And the last one, he won the Hart Trophy a few years ago. He played for Boston, he played for the Devils, now he's playing for Hurricanes. It's Tyler Hall. Um, can you describe what it means to play with this kind of player? And when we talk about Tyler Hall, he was already the best one at this level. He had something special. You knew that, yes, he will become maybe a Hart Trophy winner.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, it's obviously crazy to look back on it and see all the players we had on that team, especially, and it was obviously a really good team. Like I said, I think I told you on the way here today that we had draft picks, NHL draft picks. They did not end up playing the NHL, but they were on our fourth line. We had a seventh round draft pick on the fourth line. We had players on our third line drafted. A lot of players played NHL games from that team. Um, yeah, we had a really good team. They won the Memorial Cup the year before, where Taylor Hall was MVP already. He was projected to be number one. It was kind of him versus Tyler Seguin the whole year. It was the Tyler versus Taylor series that year. But yeah, I mean, we just like I said, I got scouted by a dad of a player I played with, and got lucky enough to play on this team. I ended up having a really, really good year, and I think finished with 35 wins, second in the OHL, and I was actually leading the league most of the year until we traded for Philip Grubauer. I think it was a big trade for the team. Obviously, he's a very, very talented goalie, and I was having a good year, but he maybe took us over the top of being we were the best team, but he took us to a team that maybe could not be beat, and we kind of shared the net, and then he took over for playoffs, and we ended up winning everything. But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy year, and we had a lot of success. And you look back on it now and think about how cool it is to see what those guys have done. But it was just in the moment, like on the bus trips and stuff like that. Ryan Ellis was my euchre partner, and we played against Cam Fowler, and we'd always beat him and give him crap. And it's just little things like that where it's like we were humans, just kids together growing up playing the hockey, and it's just good to know that I was good enough to play with some of these guys, and it's an honor. And it's so tough to make the NHL at that level. It's point something percent, and it's a crazy competitive world, and I'm proud of being on that team and a part of something special.
Alors Couchy16 qui nous dit le numéro 31 doit être retiré, c'est déjà fait. The 31 is now on the wall of the
Yeah.
patinoire de Liège. Et si on revient sur cette fameuse saison 2009-2010, you said, Troy, that you won 35 games during this season, and you also played 50 games during the regular season. So playing 50 games with players like Tyler Hall, it can describe the level that you had also at this young age.
Actually, playing 32 consecutive games.
For us in Belgium, it's already something huge. We are maybe never expected to welcome someone who played with, of course, NHL MVP. Je pense que Mazine, d'ailleurs, effectivement, quand on voit ça, a du mal un petit peu à en revenir.
Bah, c'est clair que ouais, quand on voit, avec même les invités qu'on avait eu déjà avec, Anthony Gagnon, qu'on avait vu Alexis Lafrenière
C'est
dans l'effectif, c'est déjà on se dit: «OK». Mais c'est vrai qu'on se le disait même en off, dans des discussions, bah, pour battre le CV justement de Troy au niveau des joueurs, au niveau, bah, avec qui des potentiels impôts auraient pu jouer, ça va être compliqué de faire mieux, ouais.
And then the next season, it was so the 2010-2011 season. Still Ryan Ellis on the team. When we check also the roster, we can see Zach Kassian. I don't think he is still playing in NHL. He retired a few years
Retired, yeah.
I think with the Oilers.
Yeah, Oilers, Montreal, Vancouver.
So not so bad. Montreal, Edmonton, I think, yes, two of the most famous team in the league. And when we check also the goalies roster, you share the ice with Jack Campbell, who played a few years ago with Edmonton also, but also with the Maple Leafs. Maybe such a dream for some, of course, goalies in the league. Between Philippe Grabauer and Jack Campbell, at that time, of course, who was the better? Who was the best?
Well, so we won the Memorial Cup with Grubauer, who was amazing, a really good goalie at the time, and then a lot of things changed the next year. Guys went to the NHL and pro, and after that, so we were still a pretty good team in Windsor, but we made some big signings. We signed Jack Campbell in the summer, to be the future of the goalies, but he had just won with I think John Carlson and all those Cam Fowler and those guys, the World Juniors, and became an 11th overall pick with Dallas, I believe, at the time. So he was a very coveted NHL future player. So Windsor, we were lucky enough to get him, sign him, and unfortunately for me, it meant I got less ice time and stuff like that. But I started the year with him, and we were doing okay. I was actually having a pretty good start to the season. But in the OHL, they made the rule a few years before that you can only have 3 20-year-old players on each team. So you're not going to want a goalie who only plays half the time or less to be one of those 3 spots. So they wanted Jack to play more and more. So for me, it meant getting traded to Sarnia halfway through that year. They were a team that was okay, but they were just missing playoffs at the time. And they had 2 really good young players in Neil Yakupov and Alex Galchenyuk. So I got traded for the back-to-back years. I played with 2 number 1 overall picks. But yeah, that team it was a big change going from Windsor, where we won everything and had a lot of success, to in Sarnia, where we were kind of a young team, and we just weren't as good, and I didn't have as good as this half season there, and it was a a little bit tough way to end the OHL career. But I mean, again, I played with some very good players and we had some good moments and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a difficult year for me after having a really good time in Windsor and going to Sarnia, where actually my father grew up in Sarnia. I have a lot of family in Sarnia. And my grandfather got to see a lot of games there. So that was a really cool year and some stuff, but it was also a difficult year hockey wise. I wish I would have done better to maybe have more NHL chances and stuff like that. Because between Windsor and Sarnia that summer, I actually went to Carolina Hurricanes hockey camp and had time there, played exhibition games. They had Jeff Skinner on the team and stuff like that at the time. So it was a good year that turned into a very hard year for me. And then yeah, that's why I ended up going to university after. But it was still a good OHL career and a good time in my hockey life.
And you followed what you say before, you needed to play more and you moved to another place to play more, because when we check the stats, you played 24 games during the remainder part of the season. So it was such as better for you to have time on the ice. And as you said, on the roster, we can see Alex Galchenyuk, who doesn't maybe perform well in the NHL. He moved few years ago in Russia. He still then he's still in KHL. For you, there are such big difference between KHL and NHL, or is it KHL is still one of the strongest in the world, and it's not so far from the NHL when we talk about level?
I think the NHL is a pretty big step above. I think the KHL has done a good job of getting NHL players that have maybe not so much success in the NHL and done really well. You see guys like Daniel Sprong from the Netherlands and stuff who's playing KHL having success, but in the NHL you found it tough to maybe hold a spot. But I think the KHL has become a very competitive, great league to play, and stuff like that. But yeah, the NHL will always be the league, and the league difference is insane. If you watch the Olympics and what all those NHL players can do when they're put together, it's insane how good the league is and how fast it is and how skilled it is. And yeah, again, it just shows guys like playing with Nal Yakupov and Alex Galchenyuk, first overall, third overall, and they struggled to find their spot, are now playing in that league. It's a very hard league to do well in and maintain playing well in. I think Galchenyuk and Yakupov had really good junior careers, had some good seasons in the NHL also, but you have to maintain that every year for 82 games. It's a very tough league.
Of course. And you said that you had a record with Hurricanes. You were close to be drafted in the NHL, or close maybe to play
Yeah, so
under being drafted?
So unfortunately, my draft year was the year I went from the Quebec League to the OJHL. I was on the draft list. I was a C-rated goalie, C-rated prospect goalie, but no, never got drafted. So played the year with Windsor after my draft year. Had a really good year. Got the invite. But yeah, it's I think I told you on the car ride here that as a non-drafted goalie, it becomes very tough to make it to the very high pro levels because the NHL teams have maybe 6 to 10 drafted goalies at any time, and there's 2 goalie spots in the NHL, 2 in the AHL, and 2 in the East Coast League, and they all have drafted goalies, and they're gonna protect the players they drafted. So it's important to get drafted and stuff like that. But I also had a lot of success not being drafted either in the OHL or the NHL. So it's not the end. You see guys like Logan Thompson. He's the goaltender for Washington. He had a kind of similar career, and obviously a little better than me, but he played in the WHL, went and played a year or 2 in the CIS, same level as me at the university, and found his way in the NHL not being drafted. So it's not the end of it all, but I think it obviously really helps for goalies because it's so few spots. There's 64 spots in the NHL basically that are available, and those are the top 64 goalies in the entire world, and there's a lot of good goalies. So even just the fact that I got invited and played with good players in junior, got to go to the NHL camps, it's something that's I'll take home and proud of what I did.
Do you think it's harder to become an NHL goalie than just being an NHL player when you are a defender or forwards?
I think statistically, I would say yes, just because there's such few spots. Obviously, it's not easy to make it as a forward or a defender, but I mean there are 12 to 15 forward spots on the NHL teams at any given time, and there's 2 goalie spots. So the numbers kind of speak for itself of how hard it is. You can be a really good goalie and go up to the NHL and struggle and then never get back, and the chances to get there are so limited. I'd say it's definitely the hardest position to get to that level for sure.
Jack Campbell can maybe describe, yes, can share what is it exactly, because he was almost the number one in Edmonton and also with the Leafs, and then few playoffs loss, few upset sometimes in the playoff. I think it was the number one during the elimination versus Canadians in 2020, I guess, during the COVID season.
Yeah.
And then now he completely disappeared of the NHL radar. So that's a little bit strange, but it's maybe, yes, the difficulty of becoming a goalie in this league. After all of this amazing season, so I see that you played one game in Florida. But then you spend, yes, almost 5 complete season in the U Sports League, so the CIS league with Ryerson University. Um, what can you say about this experience? Uh, yes,
Yeah.
what can you say?
Yeah, so basically how it works is when you play in the OHL, you get offered a contract. You get paid a little bit of weekly money to buy food and stuff like this. And then part of the contract, they also offer university scholarship money to go play Canadian university hockey. So I got 2 full years of scholarship money to go play CIS hockey and now U Sports, as you said. And yeah, I played all 5 years at Ryerson right after the OHL, and basically our teams in those leagues. I think Logan played. I think Luke also from our team played a year of CIS, and it's just kind of a good spot to after your OHL career. We were filled with a bunch of ex OHL players that weren't drafted or didn't make a pro team or something like this. To, like I said, play more games, develop a little more, and hopefully you get a better chance in the pros after. Like I did a little bit. And yeah, it was 5 years after 3 years off of from high school. So I had to go back to school, and that part was difficult and a challenge. But yeah, they treated us pretty well and give you an opportunity to keep playing hockey at a very high level. So yeah, it was 5 good years and met a lot of good people there and had some success. We actually we kind of have the Maple Leaf curse there. We lose in the second round every year. They just lost again, and I believe the second round or the semifinals again this year. So it's a little bit of a cursed school, but we have a lot of good players that go there, and it's become a really good league. Helps with the OHL scholarship package and stuff like that. So yeah.
Before the US, just avec Basile, peut-être juste deux, trois retours sur ce qu'on vient un petit peu de raconter dans un premier temps. Et puis, si tu as peut-être déjà une question aussi pour Troy, quand même, avant qu'on parte aux USA.
Du coup, pour faire un peu le débrief de ce qui a été dit, donc, bon, on a quand même énuméré une très belle carrière, de la part de Troy. Donc on a déjà quand même expliqué que voilà, il a pu évoluer dans une équipe assez fantastique, notamment avec des joueurs qui sont encore actuellement en train de jouer en NHL comme, bah, un Tyler Hall, un Henrik, ou encore, ben, un John Tavares. On a aussi donc du coup pu, apprendre que, ben, Troy a quand même eu des opportunités de potentiellement toquer à des portes en NHL. Il a notamment fait un training camp avec les Panthers, hein?
Les
Les
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes, pardon, de Caroline. Donc, on voit que voilà, ça a été effectivement très, très proche aussi pour Troy, mais comme il le disait, malheureusement, le poste de goalie est peut-être un des postes les plus durs, à atteindre un spot en NHL parce que, bah, il y a 2 goalies «titulaires» entre guillemets dans chaque équipe, donc ça réduit forcément les places. Et puis il expliquait même que, bah, dans l'équipe secondaire, donc en AHL, pareil, 2 goalies, et dans l'équipe encore inférieure, c'est 2 goalies aussi, donc ça fait que 6 spots finalement par franchise. Contrairement à des joueurs de champ où, ben, là, les spots sont beaucoup plus grands. Donc statistiquement parlant, effectivement, c'est beaucoup plus compliqué. Mais en tout cas, il retient que c'est une très belle expérience et un honneur d'avoir pu, participer à à une carrière, et à des opportunités comme celle-là. Et comme il nous a pu nous l'expliquer aussi, des fois pour pouvoir atteindre ses objectifs et atteindre des équipes ou le niveau dans lequel on veut jouer, il faut savoir faire un petit pas en arrière, redescendre peut-être d'un niveau, pour pouvoir, jouer plus de matchs. Parce que ce qui est le plus important pour lui, c'est tout simplement de jouer un maximum de matchs pour pouvoir avoir de l'expérience en match et subir la pression justement des matchs qu'on va jouer et pas, attendre tout simplement sa place. Donc, il faut savoir faire un pas en arrière pour pouvoir, sauter plus haut par la suite.
Peut-être une question sur toute cette période principalement canadienne. Je ne sais pas si tu avais encore un truc peut-être à rajouter.
Yeah, we talk about that with Anthony Gagnon when he came here. Um, we speak about Lafreniere, Alexis Lafreniere.
Mm.
You speak a little bit about Tyler O, but what's the thing that like a Tyler O or John Tavares or the guy that goes to the NHL? What's the thing that is different from another guy? When Anthony Gagnon said that Lafreniere, you saw him play. Everything is smooth. Everything is looks easy.
Mm-hmm.
But when you try to do it, you realize that's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same with all those players, or maybe some player are more like worker or just talented?
Yeah. So I think at that level, we all played on the same team,
Mhm.
but you have guys that are already a level above. You see it with guys like Taylor Hall or Connor McDavid when he played in the OHL. They're just already faster, more skilled with the puck, quicker decisions on the ice. So you just see it that they make those things in space that no other guys can do already at that age. And then obviously once you get to the NHL, you see guys like Yakupov have a more difficult time because it
Mhm.
gets harder and harder. But already at that age, you can see the guys and you can see who has the chance and the talent that they're in the same league as you, but they're a level above probably. Um, and it's the crazy part of the sport is you have a few guys like that on each team, and you really can see the difference every night of what those guys do. They're just maybe that little bit quicker, or that little bit stronger, or just a little bit smarter. He's just a little bit of something that they do really well. Taylor Hall was really fast. He put up a lot of points. Connor McDavid, really fast, good hands, goal scorer, stuff like that. I played with Adam Henrique, who maybe wasn't the fastest guy, but he was super smart, good face-off guy, did everything right, little things of getting his man on defense or passing the puck to Taylor for a goal. And like a guy like that who he's fourth line in the NHL now, he was the best for me. He might have even been better than Taylor some nights. Like he was a really good player for our team. And it's crazy, like how much better he was at our team than to see him. Had a really good career, but see how tough it is even in the NHL for all those guys. And yeah, it's exactly like Anthony said. Guys like Lafreniere, you see it how easy they make it look, and it's kind of frustrating to watch, and at the same time beautiful. But it's just crazy. Yeah, that's how it is.
And is it harder to stop their shot?
100%. 100%. Yeah, so even at Ryerson, I was lucky enough to at the time, they had Jonathan Bernier and James Reimer, so anytime they were hurt or sick, at Ryerson, I go be the Leafs practice goalie, so I practiced with the Leafs, I think 3 or 4 times in my time at Ryerson, and they had guys like Kessel, Van Riemsdyk, and stuff like on the team, and Phaneuf back then, and they go up there from our practice in university, and I've played with NHLers, but they go to actually play with the NHL team, and the shots, how much harder they are, the pass so much quicker. It's like, damn, like I'm good, but this is why I'm not here. It's crazy. Like there's a lot of good hockey players and stuff, but there is that big level difference of being in the NHL. It's really crazy unless you can watch it on the games, but then it's even crazier when you're on the ice how fast it is.
And about the role of goalie and how you sometimes maybe you react, is it only just your skills and just you had to wait the shot before react, or sometimes with maybe this type of player who are such yes faster than others and you need to anticipate how yes do you stop a shot finally during a game of hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a goalie, you kind of learn and see the different things of when a guy shoots and puts his stick or his hands a certain way, but it's also the big thing with the goalie is your reaction and hand-eye coordination. So you have the puck, you see it coming a certain way, and you react a certain way, and overtraining and many years and playing a lot, I think you get better and better and better and faster at it. And it just becomes something where you kind of know what you're doing if a certain shot comes this way or certain things. And there's also a lot of times you just get lucky and you put yourself in the right spot. And if you get a piece of the puck and it doesn't go in, and yeah, I think as a goalie, it's just reaction time and learning how the puck is gonna go certain ways and stuff like that. And it takes a lot of training and a lot of time and a lot of shots faced. And it's not easy a lot of nights, but yeah, I think that's it.
And also just few words about yes all the tenue, all the equipment.
Mm.
It's yes the mask, it's the special gloves, a special stick also, and etc. And how many how many kilos is it?
So normally when we go on the plane, I think what are we allowed 25 or something? Something like this, 22, 25, somewhere in there. I think usually my hockey bag, especially if it's after a game, is like 30 kilos. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's basically like wearing a bulletproof full bodysuit. The puck's gonna hurt. So yeah, it's pretty unique. A lot of stuff, and thank gosh, because the puck does hurt if you get in a spot where the equipment is not. So yeah.
After that, we will now talk about your U.S. adventure. You played so Furious between Danville, between Macomb, I guess.
Yeah.
Also Atlanta, Elmira, in few different leagues. We see the FHL, the SPHL, ECHL. Can you, of course, tell us about what was yes this experience in the US, but also yes, can you explain what are these different leagues? For us, it's such yes a lot of leagues in the US, but
Mm.
which level is it exactly? Is it close to the NHL or is it very far away? And yes, also between all of this American city and between also the America and Canada, there are some maybe differences or
Mm.
not. Yes, can you describe all of this period?
Yeah, so as I was saying before, it's quite difficult as a goalie. You have the NHL, AHL, ECHL, East Coast Hockey League. Those are NHL teams affiliates. So they all have usually 3 teams. We usually have 6 spots for goalies. So like I said, undrafted goalie, it's very hard to get on those teams. I got lucky and played with Atlanta and Florida before university and had a couple chances. They didn't go so well or didn't maybe get as much chance as maybe I would have liked, but being not drafted, it was very difficult. So below that, in the 4th level of hockey, is called single A hockey, pro hockey. In the USA, you have SPHL, the Southern Professional Hockey League. You have teams in Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, areas like this. I played there for 2 seasons where we won a championship also in Macon, Georgia. But between that, there's also another level called the Federal Hockey League, or I believe now it's called the Federal Prospects Hockey League, the FPHL. But it's basically the same level as SPHL technically, but it's maybe a league lower than that. So again, it was for me, I went down to those leagues to play more games and have more fun and do that. So that was when Elmira, I played there for 3 seasons or 4 seasons, whatever it was. Uh, it was a great team with a lot of great guys, and we had a lot of fun. And I don't regret going from the SPHL down to there. Uh, I thought it was a really good decision for me just to have play more and have more fun. But yeah, it was in my head when I first went to the States. I thought, oh, maybe I can do what some guys like Scott Darling, go from the SPHL to the NHL and you work your way up. But it's very difficult and it's very tough for a goalie to do that. Uh, I was not able to go as far as I thought I could, but I played a few good seasons, won a championship with Macon, and yeah, it was a really good time. You asked about the difference between Canada and the US. I would say in Canada, I played the youth hockey and the junior hockey, but in Canada, we don't really have like minor pro hockey teams. You have AHL teams and stuff like this, but you don't have the level of this minor professional league to play. There's one league in Quebec that's somewhat like this, but it's more fighting league and more junior, I would say, league, but it's not the same. So guys like me, we go down to the USA to play more pro hockey and experience that. And then, yeah, so that's where I played for many years. And a lot of guys who play in those levels find contracts at the end of their career to come over to Europe and play in these leagues after proving themselves in pro hockey in the US. So yeah, that's what I did, and ended up in Liège after about, yeah, the 6 seasons, I believe, in the States.
And you yes, so you get paid in this league?
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so it's such like professional.
Yeah, it's minor pro. You get a couple $100 a week, but you get a free apartment. You have a booster club who gives you help with groceries and stuff like that. We had sponsors and deals where we got for half price food at restaurants. We had free golf. So it was pro life, and it was a lot of fun, and I won't regret it, but I don't miss playing 50, 60 games a year and traveling on crappy buses for 18 hours. There's a lot of travel in those leagues, a lot of hard work on the body, and it was a difficult grind. It was a grind, as they would say in English, and it was a lot of fun, but I don't want to ever do that again. So, yeah, so I'm glad I found my way over here.
Maybe quelques quelques traductions avant de parler Bulldogs parce que oui, effectivement, après, les US, Treuil est arrivé à Liège.
Donc en gros pour, expliquer, donc au Canada, il n'y a pas réellement de ligue mineure professionnelle. Donc en général, ben, à part la AHL, enfin donc la ligue secondaire de la NHL, ben, il y a pas réellement de grosses ligues qui permettent d'être professionnel, et de continuer sa carrière après, ben, tout ce qui est universitaire et école. Et à part une ligue, mais qui est plus pour des seniors et qui nous a expliqué que c'était plus, bah, bagarre que hockey. Donc la plupart des jeunes, bah, partent aux États-Unis dans ces ligues, bah, professionnelles où, ben, il nous a expliqué donc il y a un salaire, il y a, l'équipe qui intervient notamment, bah, dans les courses, dans les logements et cetera, et où on a une réelle, bah, expérience professionnelle avec beaucoup de matchs, avec des déplacements qui sont longs. Et donc du coup, bah, ça lui a permis de jouer beaucoup de matchs pendant, bah, quelques saisons pour pouvoir, bah, potentiellement, comme il a dit, faire un grind, donc c'est-à-dire, bah, s'entraîner, s'entraîner et toujours essayer de potentiellement aller chercher ce spot dans une équipe NH pour se faire, bah, pas drafter, mais arriver à accrocher une place dans une équipe NHL comme certains joueurs ont pu le faire, mais malheureusement ça n'a pas été le cas. Et voilà, il ne le regrette pas, mais c'est pas quelque chose qui recommencerait non plus. Donc et puis, bah, il y a l'arrivée à Liège qui se profilait.
Then 2020, you arrived in Liège. But the first year you were not really lucky because it was yes, a COVID season. So I think you only played maybe one friendly game
Yeah,
versus everyone or
two friendly games. We played Den Haag and also Herentals.
and out.
Yeah.
It was a huge win, if I remember
We
well.
won.
And then yes, it was everything was stopped. You were back for a few games in the US, and then from 2021 until 2026, you played 5 full season, and what amazing seasons! You won every trophies possible. In 2021, 2022, it was Belgian Championship and Belgian Cup trophies. The first Belgian Cup from 2018 for the team, the first Belgian Championship trophy from 2014. So such already a good achievement. It was also the first final played in Benelux. It was the terms used at this time, and you lost in a final game versus Erenveen in overtime. I remember it was my first game as a speaker. I replaced the previous speaker, and yes, I remembered also the the power play during the overtime
5-on-3. No.
and no goals, and then it was the counter attack goal from Erenveen. When you played this first season, um, at this time, you already know that you will play 4 more seasons, and oh no.
Absolutely not. Actually, yeah, it's crazy how lucky I am to have stayed and been here this long and people I've met and stuff like that. But yeah, in the first season, it was again with COVID, and we had a couple months without fans and struggling, and The season was difficult for a lot of the time. But yeah, then I think we've kind of found something special some point in that season somehow. We ended up winning the Belgian Cup, one of my best games, and getting the MVP against Herentals. Then we continued that success into the playoffs. We kind of stumbled against Zoetermeer, but we won. And then in the semifinals again, we win. And then we finally in the finals, first time ever in Liège history. And yeah, I think we did really well, and I played a really good series. And yeah, it was a very crappy way to end that year in the overtime with a goal like that, and maybe we deserved to win. But yeah, I had met Lizelle earlier, my wife, that year, so doing that, meeting her, and then doing what we did and losing like that, I really wanted to come back and make a point to come back. And yeah, so it all changed in a matter of months. It was like I think January with COVID is didn't really feel like a place I wanted to stay. It was difficult being alone in Belgium, basically, lockdowns and stuff like this. So yeah, it was difficult. And then something, yeah, magical started happening, and took a couple months, and it changed everything.
Then 2022, 2023, it's the biggest season of the history of the club. You won every trophies possible. So the team won the Intégration Cup already versus nous avez and others, also German, Dutch, and Belgian team. But the most important trophies were the Belgian Cup final again versus Rentals, then the the Belgian championship, and after that, the final versus Erenveen, 3-1 win in final. When we check also the stat, during the regular season, you won 23 out of 28 games during the regular season, and 1.73 goal concede average. It's such amazing. And in playoff, 8 games, 7 win for 1 loss, 1.41 goals against in average. Um, is it for you also your best personal season? Not only winning the 4 trophies, but when we check the stat, also you were the wall.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, that year we had just lost that big final the previous year against Herenveen, and I think that really propelled us the next year. You'd want to say revenge or whatever you want to call it, but we were a team that was so motivated and so focused. We lost 4 games in regulation, 1 in overtime all year, and then once in the playoffs also. That's pretty crazy to only lose 5, 6 games all year in a league like this. I think we brought in Milan Jurek as the imports, and it took a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, from to find his spot between Colo and Colo and Brian Henry. And once we did that, we were unstoppable. We had Paulus and Mike on the fence, and Boot and Frank, and everybody that year. You could go down the list, and Bjorn and all the guys, the Oscars and the Lorises, and everybody on that team. And you can name every single guy, and we put in the work, and we wanted to redeem ourselves after our first final. And you saw it, and we won every single final we could that year. And it's crazy because in sport of how close you could lose again, what we did that year was just shows you when your luck is there, it's also a good thing. And yeah, I mean, that's a year I think Liège and our team will never ever forget. 4 cups like this and barely losing. And I think individual stats they're very nice to look at like this, and maybe statistically wise is my best year here. But I think every year I did my best out there and stuff like that. But yeah, that year we had such a good team in front of me that it made my job so much easier. And we went out there and we dominated everybody, and it was a lot of fun.
You talked about, yes, in front of you, 2 big duo like Podus and Distat, and also Van Geestel and Neven. They are maybe, of course, not in the OHL or NHL level, but they are also maybe one of the best teammates that you had in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had a lot of good teammates and a lot of good friends that I've made throughout the years, but those guys, Mike and Jordan and Brian, Colo, they made me feel a really part of Liège, feel like a real Liégeois, really like a family here. And I remember it was the first year COVID hit, and it was the first season we tried to play, and the season was under question and eventually got canceled. But Jordan took me to a barbecue with all his friends and made sure that I had a good time here no matter what. Like, the people take you here and they really make you part of the family, make you feel loved. The fans, the staff, all the same thing. They really make sure that you are treated well and you feel the love here. And yeah, I played a lot of good places and I have good things to say about those places too. But here, there's something special. The way it was and the way they make you feel is something that I'll never forget. And it was the best, really.
The next season, it was 2023, 2024. It was maybe harder during the regular season. It was also the first season with the Benedict Cup, and you were not in the final four. You also lost in Herentals, the frozen final, the fog, but wait, we can say it like that, the frog final. But during the playoffs, yes, amazing things happen. It was really tough, but you won it versus Dietz in a final amazing shoutout series, and then the final versus Neuwied, 3-2 win in the series, and this final Polish game. Have you already seen something like that before?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that Boston game with that comment, but yeah, for that season, it's crazy because yeah, you have the year before where we dominate everything. We feel like we're destined to win. We're the best team. We do everything, and then yeah, the next year maybe we had the cup hangover, the league title hangover. Weren't very good. We started terrible. We didn't make the final four by a couple points, so we weren't in the Benelux Cup. We weren't very good in the. We made it to the finals of the Belgian Cup, but it's always tough in Herentals, and they had a pretty good team with Vasilev on the team and made it difficult for us. But yeah, the whole year it really felt like we were trying to find what we were missing. It was difficult because Milan, I think, left at the start of the year, which was a big change. The league went to 3 imports, so the league was just completely different, completely harder. We went from having Neuwied in the Interregio Cup to actually being in the league. Made it harder. Dietz was now in the league, made it harder. So it was a completely different year. And then yeah, once again, somehow at the end of the year, we started to find the magic. And yeah, the year before we dominated the playoffs, and then this year was one of those years where you see how crazy the sport truly can be. Of we could have lost several times in that playoffs. Dietz in the shootout, first round against Zudomir. It was a crazy year, and then yeah, we somehow pulled it out a couple times. And in the finals, you had Neuwied, who's been super strong every year in this league, and yeah, the first year, as you said, maybe the best year of Bulldogs history, but that final that year, the way we won it was also maybe even more satisfying and more crazy. Be down 4-1, and then Paula scores 4 goals and score in overtime and home and celebrate in front of fans like that. It was 2 back-to-back years, completely different, but obviously got the league titles back-to-back, and yeah, both of them will mean a lot, and they're both special in their own way, and we'll never forget Paulus for that last game, that's for sure.
C'est juste une petite traduction, on finira avec les 2 dernières saisons. Euh,
Donc ici, bah, on a un peu refait le débrief du coup de la carrière de Troyes ici du côté de Liège. Ça n'a pas été simple, bah, dès le début puisque, son arrivée a été un peu compromise avec le covid, donc il a pu jouer que 2 matchs, amicaux, avec les Bulldogs et puis, bah, ça a été tout simplement, lockdown. Puis bon, forcément lockdown, on peut pas voir grand monde, c'est compliqué et donc c'est pour s'intégrer et cetera, c'était pas facile. Par contre, il a quand même dit que, bah, à Liège, on était quand même, bah, chaleureux puisque, bah, que ce soit, bah, Jordan Paulus, Brian Colo ou Mike Distad, ils ont toujours été là pour s'assurer que, il ne manque de rien. Que ce soit le staff aussi, ils ont toujours fait tout pour que, bah, il se sente, bah, comme chez lui, aimé et ça, bah, il apprécie énormément et que, bah, forcément ça a joué effectivement aussi dans le fait qu'il soit resté, bah, toutes ces saisons, chez les Bulldogs. Au niveau, ben, du palmarès, quand même arrivé jusque-là, bah, une première saison où effectivement, bah, on il y a eu des hauts et des bas. La défaite contre Heerenveen, bah, ça leur a servi justement de boost pour la saison d'après, prendre une revanche et arriver avec une équipe qui était, bah, quasiment imbattable, et donc du coup, bah, aller gagner en plus à Heerenveen et puis, bah, il y a un peu la gueule de bois de justement de la coupe qui a fait que la saison d'après était un petit peu plus compliquée. Puis il y a Milan Juric aussi qui était parti en début de saison et puis, ben, la magie a pris forme en play-off et puis, bah, la suite, on la connaît, on l'a assez expliqué, dans les haters avec, ben, un run de play-off incroyable avec, ben, une demi-finale contre Leeds qui se termine, bah, au dernier moment où on peut encore espérer gagner, au tir au penalty, enfin au shootout et puis après, bah, il y a, game 4 face à un œil vide où, bah, Paulus inscrit 4 goals pour faire soulever le trophée à toute l'équipe donc oui, un match, qui reste inoubliable et qui reste, incroyable et il disait aussi que, bah, c'était, des playoffs et c'est ça aussi, c'est ça qui fait la magie aussi, c'est que, bah, ces matchs-là, ils auraient peut-être pu les perdre 10 fois s'il le fallait, mais la chance était de notre côté donc on les a remportés.
24-25 season, only 2 cups win. It was the Belgian Cup final back in Liège, so it was maybe easier to win it. It was such a tough game to win versus Herentals, and then Belgian Championship, but only a quarterfinal loss in the playoff versus Deeds, so such maybe frustrated. But this final season, 25-26, we started the show with yes, your feeling about the elimination from the playoffs, but before that, it was maybe I guess the second best season of the history of the club because you finally won this CEHL Cup, and what's also an amazing final. Uh, you were from 3-0 lead for Goalie until 3-3 in the final second of the regular time, and then this shutout win. Anthony was on the only scorer, and you stopped every try from Goalie. And then a new Belgian Cup final in front of the Liège fan, a 6-1 win versus Herentals, maybe the biggest win in a Belgian Cup. And after that, again, a Belgian Championship. It's the 5th consecutive Belgian Championship trophy, so we can say that it's not something bad. Um, yes, few words to describe this final season and this CEHL Cup win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like last year you said we won the Belgian Cup in a game with the 7 power plays and a lot of shots, and I had one of my best games ever, actually, maybe when we win 2-1 and we won a cup and salvaged some things out of a very tough season. It was a transition season. It was our first season without our captain Jordan and Mike stopping, and there's a lot of changes in the team and made it difficult. And yeah, I think we still had a good team. We still had Hugo and Shaba from the year before of a championship team, and we were still doing well. But I think injuries and yeah, missing a couple good former players made it difficult. And then again, we beat Dietz in a shootout the year before that and lost in the quarterfinals to them that year. And maybe it could go one way or the other. That's the sport like we talk about. And then yeah, this last year is yeah, again, the quarterfinal loss is not the best, but the rest is the cups we win was we had a crazy good team and a crazy successful season. The CHL Cup was something that we really had as a goal in our mind this year because we've done so terrible in the CHL Cup or the Benelux Cup at the one time that we really wanted to show that we could win that one, and it was one of the biggest goals we had this season. So we started off really well. We were in first place most of the season, and then I unfortunately got hurt with a little leg injury for the first time ever in 5 seasons. I missed some games, but I was able to come back in time for the semifinals of Belgium, and then the cup final when yeah we were down 3-0. We aren't playing well at all. We don't know what's going on. Galene's on home ice. They're a good team, and yeah, it was tough. And then again, something started happening. We get a weird goal from Anthony, and then started playing better. And then made it 3-2. Oscar scores a goal that maybe could count, but they call high stick, so it stays 3-2. And then in the last minutes, the puck hits the post. It's up in the air. It's in the crease. They knock the net off. They call it a goal. I was on the bench. I don't know how they decided that's a goal, but I think by some of the rules they had to. But yeah, it was wild. And then yeah, you go into a shootout in a final. It's as a goalie, it's not your favorite thing to do. It's not what you want. You want to have somebody score before that. But yeah, we had a shootout the week before against Galeen, and they sent the same 5 shooters, and 4 of the 3 of them tried the exact same move. So I kind of remembered from the week before, and maybe that made it a little easier. And then Gagnon Anthony scored a really nice goal, and we took it. And it was the big goal, one of the big goals of the season. So that was an incredible final. Even in Galeen, our fans showed up and was incredible. And then the Belgian Cup, yeah, I think we showed how we've become the best team in Belgium over the last 5 seasons since I've been here. And we put the stamp, as you say in English, on that and showed them that we are the best team now. And hopefully once I'm gone, we'll be able to continue that. But I think that was like a really good moment of being like, we've made Belgian hockey better and we've become the best team maybe. So that was another good final. And then the championship of Belgium is something we earned by our play all year. And yeah, you can't say anything bad about 3 cups, and proud of what we did.
And now you are on the wall of the Passingham de Liège. So just we can just say congratulations, of course, to us, and yes, it was well deserved because you made such a lot of achievements. It's almost 1 hour and a half that we are on live. So I've never expected that before, but sorry, I haven't talked such a long live ever. Just to react about Rosen, your top 3 NHL player slash goalie of all time.
I agree. I agree.
What's your top 3?
Top 3 goalies of all time.
Also player.
I could pick my favorite players, or I could pick the top 3 goalies are probably Hasek, Broder, and maybe Patrick Wall. But growing up, I loved Curtis Joseph and Carey Price and guys like that, and Roberto Luongo. But yeah, top 3 of all time is easily Hasek, Broder, and Wall, Patrick Wall. That's for me, for sure.
Patrick Roy, the former coach of Anthony Gagnon.
Yeah. I played against both of them.
Broder, yes, is I think number 1 in almost all of the statistics wins. Yeah, also a long career.
Yeah, he was good.
20, yes, during the 20s, the 2000s and 2010s, maybe, I guess. And also maybe just another player for was the defenders, I don't know.
Growing up, I mean, we had Matt Sundin, obviously, in the Leafs was our favorite player growing up. And I mean, I don't get to watch too much NHL now being over here in Europe with the time difference, but my favorite player right now is Cale Makar. He's incredible to watch, and he's one of my favorite players as a defenseman. The things he does from that position is crazy. Obviously, you have McDavid and on my team Matthews and guys like that, but me and my friend Chris, we've sat in his place and we've watched Cale Makar Jr. highlights on YouTube, and yeah, he's incredible. So I would say he's probably my favorite player right now.
And we have also Raphaël BGD93. Where are you going now in Canada?
Yeah, so I'll be living in near Niagara Falls in St. Catharines, and probably transitioning into coaching and probably stop playing for now. But yeah, it'll be something I'm really excited to do. Is I do a lot of it here, helping our team with strategies and stuff like this, and coaching the youth and stuff like that. So it's something I'm looking forward to, and as long as I can stay around the game of hockey, I'll be happy. So
And also maybe spending more time with Lisanne, your wife.
we get that all the time. That's fine. We're lucky here as imports to have a pretty good life where we get a good amount of time with my family. I know for locals it's much different. They have full-time job, practice at night. They have a lot more problems getting time with the family. So I mean, I completely understand for them, but we're lucky that Lizelle can work from home a lot, and I'm home during the day because of hockey at night, and we're lucky to get actually a lot of time together compared to most guys on the team. So yeah, maybe we get actually maybe less time if I start working and coaching more. So
Okay. It will be the opposite. We'll finish the show with the top 1. That's the quick game from Basile. We will try to learn more about, yes, your passion in life.
So, yeah. So as we said just before the live, so few question about other things than hockey, but maybe some hockey things too. And then after all the question, we choose some and to have the top one.
Yep.
So first question: your favorite hockey player?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just answered that one pretty easily. Right now, I would say it's Cale Makar, but if we're gonna go all time, I would say it's probably Curtis Joseph. Growing up, he was a big idol of mine watching, and I actually worked for a goalie school that he came to, and he worked at it himself and got to meet him a few times. So yeah, he was always number one for me. And then yeah, right now Cale Makar for sure. He's the
Okay.
best.
So your favorite food?
Food. Oh god. I mean, I love food. Obviously, big guy. Uh, but favorite all time is definitely burger. You give me a good hamburger, I'm
Okay.
a happy man.
Favorite movie?
Oh, ooh, that's a tough one because you could go series or something like that. I'm a big Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter fan.
We've got series after.
Okay. But number one, just solo movie, I would say probably Gladiator. The Gladiator is a good one.
Okay. Um, obviously your favorite NHL team.
Yeah, the Leafs. The Leafs. Unfortunately.
Your favorite music artist.
Music artist, yeah. So number one probably artist is Linkin Park.
Okay. And like the other teammates of Bulldogs, you have to say one favorite Bulldog teammate.
Yeah, my favorite teammate of the Bulldogs of all time. I mean that's pretty easy for me. We've become really, really good friends, and we text and talk almost every single day. Brian Colo for sure. We've become really close, and he's a guy that will do anything to win, and I think he shows it on the ice every day with his play. And yeah, he's definitely become my best friend on the team for sure. So easy one.
Last two, so your favorite sport, but not hockey,
Baseball.
baseball.
Yeah, I'm a big Blue Jay fan. We don't want to talk about this last year, but no, I went to school in Toronto and got lucky growing up in the area. I've been to a lot of games, and some I'll even tell other people that I'd rather watch a baseball game than sometimes the NHL. I really love baseball. I play in fantasy baseball with my friends back home, and yeah, it's my favorite sport for sure.
Okay, so last one, we've got the series. Your favorite series.
Favorite like TV show of all time?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's
It
tough.
can be a TV show on Netflix or
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. I would say I really enjoyed Game of Thrones and Better Call Saul and stuff like that. But number one for me is Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are going to start the elimination.
Here we go.
So between Curtis Joseph and the burger, what did you choose?
What was the first one?
Curtis Joseph.
Oh,
Okay.
jeez. I'm gonna go burger. Woohoo. Burgers are life.
So burger, okay. Between the Gladiators, the film, the movie, or the Leafs,
Oh man, that's tough. I'll go the Leafs.
the Leafs.
Yeah.
Next one, between Linkin Park or Brian Colo.
Ooh. Sorry, Brian, but I gotta go Lincoln Park. Oh man, that's a good one.
And last one, we've got between baseball and Breaking Bad.
Baseball.
Baseball. So, semi-final, we've got to choose between burger or the Leafs.
Wow. Jeez. I'm gonna go with the Leafs.
The Leafs.
Yeah. Burgers are good though.
And the other one is between Linkin Park
Mm.
and baseball.
Baseball.
Okay. So the final, What do you prefer between the Leafs or the baseball?
We're just because of the year we're having, we're gonna go baseball.
Still a lead out breaking my heart. Blue Jay, I love both of them better than well you.
Well, so far, yeah.
So we can say that the top one of Troy is baseball.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite quite surprising to see that baseball is.
Yeah, it's something that I mean, I grew up watching it again too, but it's obviously I love hockey and playing in it so much, you kind of look for other things to get away from it in your life. And I think baseball is one of those things where you get to watch it and enjoy it in a different way than hockey because you don't play it as much. You kind of understand why there's fans of hockey and stuff like that, and kind of how I am with the Blue Jays. And yeah, I don't know, just fell really in love with baseball, especially at in my university days and stuff like that, being able to see them. And when they had the Jose Bautista home run, I was there in the bars and just the incredible atmosphere. And
2016?
15, yes. And then yeah, this year's run, it's like the memories they've created for me is just yeah. I love the Leafs and I love hockey, but yeah, some of the memories are a little too painful for that one. So yeah, the Blue Jays are one of my favorite things in life and baseball in general. And yeah, I'll always enjoy the game. And I think it's something that once I stop playing now is I'll get to enjoy a lot more. And yeah, there you go.
And you can play a little baseball.
I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I played it a couple summers growing up, and I've played softball, and I can hit, I can catch, I can throw. I mean, I'm not a pro baseball player or anything like that, but I can play the game. I think hockey has a lot of the hand-eye, the catching, and stuff like that are similar that have helped. And yeah, I'm not bad at all at it. So
That's so bad, yes, of course. And it's also easy when you grew up in the area of Toronto because you have of course, the Blue Jays, the Maple Leaf, the Raptors. They both play almost in the same arena or really close together because the Rogers and the Scotiabank Arena, you are just to cross the street and you are to the other stadium. And if you also love the NFL, Buffalo is not really close to, yes, not so far from Toronto. So that's also pretty easy to go to watch a game.
yeah, it's a
Or
great sports area.
so it's yes, it's pretty easy. And if you had to tell us maybe one favorite by your favorite baseball player,
Ooh, favorite baseball player?
or we can be Cuban player.
No, wow. I mean,
Guerrero.
I was a big fan of Roy Halladay. He was a pitcher for the Blue Jays growing up. He's kind of a legend. Um, Currently, I mean, Vladdy's pretty popular, but I love Springer. Springer's probably my favorite on the current team. But yeah, Halladay's probably all time. I mean, Bautista, guys like that, Josh Donaldson were great for us, and we have a lot of great players over the year, and there's a lot I enjoy. But yeah, Roy Halladay was a big star growing. Even when the team was bad, he was always really good. So growing up, he was big fan of. I was a big fan of his for sure.
I think now it will be the final words. Um, Thank you so much, Troy, for all of these amazing, of course, seasons. You will remain maybe yes, the best goalie of the history of Bulldogs. Thank you also for yes being here. We also had some interviews with Bulldogs TV before, so you were always available. So for that also thank you so much. And yes, just best luck for the next chapter of your life. And also, of course, with Lizan, all the best. Just our wishes here for the next part of your life.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun to do this, and yeah, thanks for always doing whatever you guys can for us too. I mean, without you guys, I think things aren't as good as they are too with the social media, all the work you guys do that people don't see behind the scenes, and we appreciate everything you guys have done to help grow our team and be there for our team and help create the success that we've created here. And yeah, so thanks to you guys, and thanks for always being there for me and stuff like that. And yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Merci en tout cas. Alors, Sifli, donc Laurine, ma compagne qui dit Stop, I'm gonna cry. Et alors, on salue aussi Ranger Red qui était là tout au long du live. Your best friend. Donc voilà, merci à toutes et tous de nous avoir suivis. Vous avez été très nombreux tout au long du live. Oui, on a quasiment passé 2 heures finalement avec Troy. Mais voilà, what an amazing career it was. Et encore une fois, merci beaucoup. Peut-être un tout petit mot pour clôturer sur One Words in French.
Ah oui, merci à vous. Merci pour toutes les saisons. Et c'était vraiment le meilleur 5 ans de ma vie. Et oui, merci pour tout.
Et les bières belges sont les meilleures. Et c'est the Belgian beer are the best.
Ah, puis le Belgique, c'est mieux.
Allez, merci encore à toutes et tous. La rediff sera bien sûr disponible sur YouTube dans quelques jours. Et puis on se retrouvera très bientôt. Il y a des nouvelles vidéos qui vont bientôt venir sur YouTube, d'autres invités. Donc on compte sur vous, principalement sur YouTube et Twitch, pour venir nous rejoindre. Allez, excellente soirée à toutes et tous et à très vite.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.